Hello everyone and welcome to Nara's Tarot. Thank you very much for being here. Today's reading, we are going to take a look at the honesty that Spirit wants you to know right now, okay? So this is going to be a pretty open-ended reading. We'll just allow Spirit to come through, speak whatever truths that you guys need to hear right now, and allow that wisdom and that message to shine through, all right? So we have 3 piles for you today. This is pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. So feel free to pause the video here to take your time to connect with the piles, and I will see you at your reading. All right, hello pile 1 and welcome to your reading. So let's see what is the honesty that Spirit wants you to know right now, okay? We are starting off with the 9 of Pentacles. Whoa, that shot straight out. We have the Fool. Okay, we have the 10 of Swords in reverse, the Hermit in reverse, and also the 3 of Pentacles. Okay, and oh hey, hang on, this card also came out. This is the 9 of Cups in reverse, and underneath the deck you've got the King of Swords in reverse. Okay, all right, the first thing that I'm noticing about your pile is that you have 3 9 cards. The 9 of Pentacles, the 9 of Cups in reverse, and also the Hermit in reverse. And the Hermit is card number 9 in the Major Arcana. So there's something about your energy here where you're nearing completion with something. And the truth and the honesty that you need to know is that I feel like many of you are on the edge of your seats. Like you're very on edge about something, and you haven't quite learned how to relax into the newfound achievement and accomplishment that you have gained. The 9 of Pentacles here is achievement in the form of you perhaps finding a very steady footing with regards to your career, your finances, or your everyday routine in life. You have a very steady footing and you have a very good foundation that you've established for yourself. Things feel really aligned, they feel good, and some of you might be even feeling pretty abundant and luxurious in the way that you're living, right? And abundance and luxury is all, in a way you could say it is relative, but for many of you, you feel like you're in a really good place, materially, financially, career-wise. However, we have the 9 of Cups in reverse, and there's this kind of like uncertainty and an inability to feel content with the current level of accomplishment or gain that we have achieved. We're not yet content with the material gain we've achieved, and that's making us feel a little bit out of balance, I must say. Because on the one hand, you know you're in a really good place, but on the other hand, you're wondering if it's okay to feel content with the current place that you're at. I am feeling for many of you that this state of discontent is more so coming from the way that you've been living your life all this while. You've always been chasing. You've always been striving. You've always been working hard, and to get to this point in your life and to be like, oh my God, can I really like relax? Can I really just enjoy this moment? It's a very surreal feeling, and I don't think many of you have learned how to like relax into this new reality that you're finding yourself, okay? And even this Hermit card is very interesting because you see this Hermit figure basically like rejecting the gifts and rejecting like the temptations of worldly pleasures, and that's the journey of the Hermit, right? That's what he decides to go on. But for you guys with 9 of Pentacles and 9 of Cups, because these 2 cards in the 9 suits, right, they are abundant and they live it up, you know. Like you look at this 9 of Cups, he is definitely living it up, right? And he has plenty to share, even with the puppy or the dog in this picture over here. He's overflowing with abundance, right? And so you guys are coming at a point where you are able to splurge. You're able to indulge a little bit more in worldly pleasures, and you're wondering if you can do it, because you're just not used to it. Now, you have the Ten of Swords as well, pile number 1, and that's also telling me that a huge weight has been lifted off your chest, because the Ten of Swords upright is somebody being so mentally overwhelmed with a situation that they're almost like inundated from it. But in reverse, this is you having healed from that very mentally challenging situation and being able to see it from a different lens and be able to almost like allow it to be water off the duck's back. How do I say it? But it just rolls off your back in a way. Like that past situation, it doesn't trigger you that way anymore. And I think because you don't have the same anxiety triggering you like you did in the past, you're in a new state of frequency where you feel like you can enjoy life, but you're distrustful of whether or not you can enjoy life, So the honesty for your pile over here is that, number 1, give yourself permission to enjoy yourself. Give yourself permission to indulge, to have fun, to relax, and to do something nice for yourself. It's okay to do that. You're entering a new reality right now, and if this hasn't hit you just yet, it's something that will be hitting you pretty soon. And when that happens, Spirit wants you to remember to celebrate yourself and to allow yourself to do something nice for you, okay? The other part to this message is that when you enjoy life and do good things for yourself, you're not going to forget what you did to get to where you are. And you're not going to forget the things that you did to get to this place. The Three of Pentacles is somebody who is like a craftsman, and he is working on his thing, right? He is building his craft. He is showing and creating value for people to be able to create this value exchange, right? He isn't creating and making these things just for the sake of it. He's doing so to be in some kind of an exchange where he wants to get something that he needs in his life, and in exchange for this, he creates something of value for people around him. So Spirit wants you to know that you're not going to forget that this is what you're doing and this is what you're good at. I think sometimes when we get to a point of like enjoying life, like I feel like you might be a bit afraid that you'll forget your roots almost, but you won't. All right? And the thing here is, we have the Three of Pentacles, and this is that consistent energy of you still building, you still creating, you still being proactive about making good things and just making shit happen in your life, right? It's manifestation is still happening. At the same time, the Fool card is over here saying that you're entering a new state, and this is a new territory that you're figuring it out. As much as the same daily routines, like you're maybe still going to work, you're still showing up for your kids, you're still showing up for your bosses, for your colleagues, like a lot of the things that you're doing in your life are probably still going to be looking the same. But then there's almost like a different life that is expanding for you. This is a life that maybe most people wouldn't know that this is what's happening for you. They don't even know that, hey, you've unlocked like a new financial achievement for yourself, because that's something that you keep private to you. And you are the one navigating this with yourself. You're here learning this new reality whilst the day-to-day is still going on. And it's a very surreal feeling, I think, for many of you. It feels a little bit like it's a transition, it's a transition going on. And in that transition, there are many things happening with the Nine of Pentacles, the Nine of Cups, Ten of Swords, and the Hermit. It's complex. It's complex because it's showing you that all of the hard work that you've put into making something happen in your life, it's paid off. And because it's paid off, you can reward yourself. And I think that puts a lot of agency back in your hands, because you get to decide how you want to reward yourself. Whereas maybe in the past, the reward always came from something external, and like somebody would determine what your reward is. But this time you get to actually decide that reward. How much, how little, what to do with it, and that's a very empowering thing to do. I also want to point out with the Hermit card in reverse, just one final message here, that you definitely need to recognize that you've made a lot of sacrifices to get to the place that you're at. And it counts for something. I don't know why, but maybe some of you need to really hear that the sacrifices were worth it. And if you're still going through this, I think that's what Spirit wants you to know as well, that the sacrifice is worth it. That you delaying instant gratification, I should say, for long-term prosperity, for long-term gain, is worth it. Whilst everybody else might have been going after a short-term gain, you put your mind towards a long-term goal, and it's really paying off, or it has paid off, okay? So let us grab you a bit more information. What else does Spirit want you to know at this point? Okay, I just want to find out if there's anything else coming through. All right, we have the Tower in reverse. I know exactly what this means. And then we have the Ten of Cups. I mean, guys, look at this. Okay, there's good news for you. All right, there are positive blessings. I just feel like for this pal, there's an air of disbelief almost. Like you guys find it really hard to believe that good things are happening and have happened or can happen to you, regardless of which part of the timeline you're on. Underneath the deck, we have Death. Yeah. Tower in reverse, first of all, let's start there, is that period of chaos and turmoil and constant change. It's over. The Tower in reverse is telling you that you are always so vigilant for potential faults and setbacks, and you're always on the lookout for when things might break apart, because that's what has been happening in your life, and that's what you've been dealing with. That's what happened when you delay instant gratification, because you're not just looking for the immediate solution, you're looking for something long term, and therefore you chose, not that you've had to, but you chose to put up with major setbacks. You chose to put up with situations that were very unpleasant, maybe because you know that there's something bigger and better at the end of that horizon. And so much faith had to be put into your belief that something bigger and better is waiting for you, and to not grab hold of the first thing or the first temptation that presents itself to you. But your energy almost is so used to dealing with very high stress, high challenge, high chaos kind of energy, kind of situations, that it's a little bit difficult to just slip out of it, right? So give yourself time to transition out of this phase, because you reached a point where this no longer is your reality. You're no longer dealing with fire after fire. You're no longer having to put up with something, because you actually got the sweet reward at the end of it, all right? And the sweet reward is the Ten of Cups. Because look at here, even this 9 to the Ten of Cups here is also showing us how you guys have delayed gratification, right? Because the 9 of Cups in reverse, you could look at it as somebody saying that I'm not looking for short-term pleasure. I'm not looking just to please myself and my own selfish desires. I'm not looking to do that. I'm looking to achieve a 10 of Cups, which is a kind of shared joy, a kind of happiness that overflows, a kind of accomplishment that you are able to expand, right? And it's not just something that you hold for yourself, but something that you can actually grow, something that can actually build, right? That there's more to it. There's more to the 10 of Cups than the 9 of Cups. I mean, the 9 of Cups is already amazing. Most people would be so satisfied with the 9 of Cups, but you're not. And that was the level of discipline and sacrifice that you made. You saw the Nine of Cups and you said, that's not quite what I want. I am looking for the Ten of Cups. I am looking for something that I can build a legacy around, something that I can create more than it would. The Nine of Cups, it just serves one person, right? Which is amazing, in and of itself, but you know that it would only serve you. But you're looking for a Ten of Cups kind of outcome that serves more than just you. And I think that's amazing. I also want to point out the mirroring of these cards, because you have the Nine of Cups and the Nine of Pentacles here, and then you have the Ten of Cups and the Ten of Swords. So you've had to put a lot of you were after the big ending. You were after the big reward at the end of it. It's not enough just to have personal gain. For you, you wanted collective gain. You wanted people around you, your loved ones, to also benefit from the thing that you got, which is, so much work and sacrifice went into it. So actually right now, with death underneath the deck, the honesty as well for my pile ones is that you're also just grieving the life that you knew. And even if that wasn't the life that you wanted, it's also like a period of time to just say your proper goodbyes to it. Say goodbye to the era of challenge. Say goodbye to the version of yourself that was like a warrior, that stood up to every single challenge, every single storm, and weathered it, pushed through it, and dealt with it like a champ. Say goodbye and say thank you to that version of yourself. I mean, the thing is, that version of yourself is still very much alive. And you can always awaken that version of yourself and call them back whenever you need to. But for now, even the warrior needs to rest. Even the strongest soldier needs to take their time for a good long nap. And more than a long nap, actually, they need time to heal. And right now, as they're healing, your era of thriving, your era of success and abundance and enjoyment and a little bit of indulgence is here. So say goodbye and say thank you to that version of yourself, and allow yourself to revel in the successes that you have gained, all right? So pile number 1, this has been your reading. I hope that it brought you the clarity that you're seeking, and I look forward to reading for you guys in future as well, okay? Bye now. Hello, pile 2, and welcome to your reading about the honesty that Spirit wants to spill for you. So we're keeping this reading pretty open-ended, so let's just have a look at what Spirit wants you to know, okay? We are starting off with the Ace of Cups in reverse. And I just want to point out how, when the Ace of Cups in reverse, it can look like a cup being spilled, right? Like water is being poured out of this cup. So when we're talking about the honest tea that needs to be spilled for you, pile number 2, the first thing I'm hearing is there's some kind of emotional release that needs to happen. You've been holding something in, keeping something under wraps, and maybe even suppressing some kind of emotion for some of you. And that's doing you no good, is what Spirit is saying. This Ace of Cups in reverse is to allow that emotion to be poured over. It may not feel good. It may feel quite uncomfortable. It may look nasty as well to see that this was the contents of the cup, that this is what you've been storing inside of yourself and inside of your body, that this is what you've been keeping in it, or realizing also that this is what others have been pouring in your cup, and you have had to empty out their shit from your body and your emotional health, right? But the thing is, we need to let it out to be able to see what's inside this cup that we don't want, all right? Let's see what else Spirit is taking us in this reading, okay? We have the King of Swords in reverse. Ooh. The Four of Wands, as well as the Page of Pentacles. Interesting. Starting off with the King of Swords in reverse. I want to say that the King of Swords upright, he is a very logical figure. He represents logic, he represents certainty, he represents foresight, right? He is able to use his mind in a very intelligent way to see past the uncertainties and to be able to have a lot of clarity in an ever-changing world, right? That's the King of Swords. He's very, very strategic with his thoughts and his mind that way. Now, in reverse, I'm hearing the words compromise. You've had to compromise what feels logical or what feels natural to you and do something that feels completely unreasonable and out of bounds. Basically, it was just not you to have to do that. This feels very out of nature and out of alignment with the King of Swords in reverse. You kind of like had to accept something that felt very illogical, and it was like somebody was forcing you to accept that, hey, this is how life is. This is what you should do. This is what you should accept. This is what you need to be. And you kind of took it at face value because maybe they were an authority figure and that you thought they knew better. But in actual fact, it was iffy. You know, you actually knew what you needed in your life and they didn't really know. And their guidance was coming from their own perspective, but they didn't include you in it. It wasn't coming from a place of wisdom, you know what I mean? Because sometimes there are people who can help to guide us from a place of wisdom, and there are also people who are saying things purely from their own perspective, and it's really up to us to discern between, you know, different people's opinions and whether or not it's an opinion and whether or if it's wisdom, right? So this is something that you've had to release from yourself. A lot of these judgments, a lot of these misconstrued perceptions of you, of what you want to do or be in your life, and kind of like be able to walk away from that. So that is the outpouring, that is the releasing, and that is what this Ace of Cups is also representing. Now, the honesty Spirit is presenting to you is the Four of Wands and the Page of Pentacles here. This is what's possible for you. Four of Wands is happy unions and partnerships and creating a space and a place where you truly feel like you belong, or finding somewhere where you feel like you belong. You don't have to pretend to be something you're not in the Four of Wands situation. This is a really, really solid and happy partnership. So what Spirit wants you to know is that when you move on from places that don't accept you for who you are, please remember that it's just that place. This is a reflection of that place more so than it is a reflection of you. You're not weird. You're not crazy. You're not some kind of freak for the person that you are, because you're going to find a place that actually sees your value and wants you to be there. Yeah, sees your value, Page of Pentacles. And even this person here, like holding up this pentacle like as though it's like a monocle, this is you seeing your value and somebody seeing your value, right? The Page of Pentacles, I mean, pages are students. And there's also something interesting about this page and king energy that I'm picking up, because there was this King of Swords in reverse. It feels very cutthroat, and it almost feels like somebody was killing your spirit and they were killing your dream too early, you know. And the Page of Pentacles is you awakening back to that dream and being like, hey, hang on, I want to keep this alive. This makes me feel alive. And there's no reason that I have to kill this dream because it's possible. You know, like, why kill something that didn't even have a chance to see the light of day? You know, the Page of Pentacles is you realizing that there is something valuable about that goal and that dream that you had, and you're reviving it in many ways. You're coming back to it, okay? So the honesty for many of you is needing to let go of a lot of judgment and shame from the people around you, and it's kind of like them projecting that judgment and shame on you, and you realizing that there's something really valuable that you're standing on, okay? The next card we have is the Page of Wands in reverse. Ace of Swords also in reverse. So you have two aces in reverse now, and the Seven of Cups. Underneath the deck, we've got the King of Wands, also in reverse. Wow. There's something about this king and page energy going on here. You know, people with who have or seem to have more authority than you, authority figures like your parents, your teachers, your bosses, you know, stuff like that. People who seem to have more authority, they've been killing your spirit and killing your vibe. And there's a lot of discernment to be used here, because it's easy to just like shit on people's opinions of us, especially people in authority. It's easy to kind of like be a bit more rebellious and like point the finger at them and say, you know, no, I want to go my way. I mean, that's what young people do, right? But as inexperienced as young people are, Page of Pentacles, Page of Wands, they also see something in the world that's not right, and they have their own point of view, and they know where they want to go, and they see something, right? Even if their approach might be more beginners, you know, and it's not perhaps as experienced, but a lot of people see something wrong with the world, young people especially, and they're able to look at the older generations and point out what's wrong. Now, when we look back into your situation here, this is the relationship between an idea that wasn't yet fully formed versus somebody who has planted their seeds and harvested their life. And they're looking at your small little seedling and saying, I don't think that's going to work. And they're saying that it's not going to work because that wasn't the seed that I planted. That wasn't the way that I planted my seeds. That wasn't how I did my thing back then. And you're like, well, it's because they're different seeds, right? You know, different seeds need different growing environments. But this person kind of like steamrolled over your dream, and they weren't really careful of that little seedling that was just about to sprout. And you've had to take back power and to say that, hey, I'm gonna be the custodian of this seed now, and I'm gonna take care of it. I don't care how big your dream is or how small your dream is. It doesn't matter. This is your seed to take care of. And so the Page of Wands here, as well as the King of Wands in reverse, this is us realizing that, number one, somebody has been taking away our own ability to create and dream and build a life and a reality that we want. And somebody has been saying that you should live their life because look how good their life is, right? And they didn't give you a chance to live your life. That's number one. But number two, with the Page of Wands also in reverse, the honesty is that you also need to acknowledge that you didn't take care of that seed. That somewhere at some point in your life, you also abandoned this seedling. And I feel that that's the honest truth that we may need to awaken to. Forgiveness is in the picture, a lot of grace and a lot of love and compassion for the version of yourself that left that seedling behind, and importantly, it's still there. The seedling is still there, and you can go back to it and water it and bring it to life. All right, it's still on. All right, it's still on. The lights are still on. Now, with the Ace of Swords in reverse, I also feel, again, this is us having to shed a lot of mindsets that we picked up, a lot of belief systems, value systems. This is ways of thinking, right, that we've picked up from people around us that served us and served them in that version of the world. But we need to be smart about whether or not it applies to this reality that we're creating. I want to give you an example. I'm not sure if I can. Like, for instance, right? Like, maybe you have always been building up a career in engineering, and in that specific office or in that specific career path, there were certain ways of thinking that would work really, really well, you know, and it would please a lot of people, and you would be applauded for that kind of thinking. But maybe in this different space that you want to go into, you may need to rethink that familiar path. Maybe it's calling for you to be more open or more flexible, or maybe instead of thinking in, you know, engineer's language, now you're thinking of things in a different way. I'm not sure if that resonates or that explains it that well. Let me know. But basically, it's not saying that the old mindset is wrong or bad. You know, we try not to like villainize things or see things in black and white. It's more so that it's just not suitable for where you're going right now. And we need to be cognizant of that, okay? So the Seven of Cups is a beautiful place to close this reading, because this is you making a new choice. This is you finally stepping out into your path and deciding to choose where you want to go. And the Seven of Cups is choice, but it also brings an element of risk to it, because the person making the choice in the Seven of Cups doesn't know what they're going to get based on the cup that they choose. Each cup presents a different choice, but they don't really know which one, what they're going to get when they choose each cup. And that is the essence of what it means to walk our path and fulfill those dreams, right? Because there's no guarantees that the seedling will sprout. You know, there's no guarantee that you're going to be successful in a conventional way, meaning that you make a shit ton of money and you get a lot of recognition for it and you live happily ever after. There's no guarantees that this kind of thing will happen, right? It may or may not happen. Everybody has a unique path to walk. And so there is a risk factor here in that you don't know what the outcome is going to be. And we don't have full control over the outcome either. But this is you deciding that I want to make the choice to do something about this situation now. And in these Seven Cups, I'm hearing Spirit saying that one of the choices is to go back to your life. Go back to that old life and continue that lifestyle that you had. And it's a choice that is available to you. It's not saying that it's a good choice or a bad choice, but it is out there for you. So the next step for you and the honesty is to be very intentional about what you're going to do with your energy next. Now that you know that there is this beautiful dream that you have and there's this seedling that is ready to sprout, how will you make your choices so that it allows you to keep that spark alive, you know, keep that part of you alive? What will you do to keep that part of you alive as well? So it's a very open-ended question, and there's no right or wrongs, and this is where I think it's a great place again to end this reading. So I will leave you to it, and it might be, you know, something to journal into, to meditate into, or maybe something that you want to draw tarot cards for yourself as well. I don't know, but it's time to do something for you and to make a different choice, okay? So pile number 2, this is what I see for your reading. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope this reading brought you the clarity that you were seeking, and I look forward to reading for you in future as well, all right? Bye now. Hello, pile 3, and welcome to the honesty that Spirit wants to spill for you. So we're keeping this reading very, very open-ended and just seeing what Spirit wants to come through in this reading, all right? So let's have a look at your tarot cards. This card kind of came out sideways, but we're going to take it upright then. It's the Queen of Swords, upright. We have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Ooh! As well as the Three of Wands and the Star. And I got to cover her up. Because that's what YouTube says. All right, so we have the Queen of Swords, Knight of Pentacles, Three of Wands, and then the Star. And underneath the deck, we've got the Six of Swords. So let's start here. The honesty for my pile number 3s. I don't know why, but the first word that I'm hearing is you're denying some kind of truth. You're denying some kind of healing that needs to take place, because that's what the star is. The star represents, well, it's one of the things that she represents is healing energy, is having gone through a major ordeal. I mean, right before the star is the Tower card. Somebody having gone through a big breakdown and finding themselves at a really divine place where they realize that there is still oneness, and they realize that there's still this kind of like beauty and cosmic belonging that goes beyond the petty little breakdowns that happen on this earthly plane. I mean, the Tower isn't really petty, but when you put things into perspective between the star and the Tower, that Tower really pales in comparison. So this star card over here is you putting things into perspective, is what I'm seeing. Even the Queen of Swords is somebody putting something into great perspective and realizing that life is a lot bigger than that small little blow ups and breakdowns that happen. The Three of now this is starting to make sense, right? Because the Three of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles is, in a way, all of the things that haven't quite worked out in your life. The Three of Wands upright, he is waiting for his ships to come in. He has put out his intentions into the world, and he's waiting for that news to come back. And for many of you, it might have felt like you weren't able to get what you want out of life. Even with the Knight of Pentacles here, this is almost like something being very unfulfilled. It's something not delivering. It's something that didn't happen. And we're feeling discontent as a result of it. We're going to dive deeper into what all of this means, but you have to almost like, you're being called to almost like see things from a different perspective, because when you put things into proportion, you might realize that this isn't something that you need to sweat about. That maybe this thing that is making you feel so anxious and so antsy is probably like a really small thing, and that there are other things to focus on, there are other things to look at in your life, okay? So the Six of Swords, I mean, underneath the deck, even that as well is us ruminating over some situation and not being able to let it go. We're not able to just let something that was not working out go, for whatever reason, okay? So let's have a look. Let's just dive deeper and see what else Spirit wants us to know, okay? We have the Ace of Swords in reverse. The Seven of Pentacles, yeah. Seven of Pentacles also is somebody who is patiently waiting for some kind of outcome to happen, right? And in reverse, this is the unfulfillment of that. So I don't know, like some of you guys, I feel, and I want to dive deeper into what this discontent is like. What didn't happen for you guys? So let's see what's going on there, with that situation. We have the Two of Pentacles, okay, and the King of Swords underneath the deck in reverse. Oh, Pile 3, it's still happening. It's still happening for you. And I think what needs to be put into perspective is patience. You guys have been so impatient with yourself, with your journey, with your process, and you've given up on something when it's still going. The Two of Pentacles is that energy that's still flowing, right? And the Two of Pentacles is an energy that hasn't really quite landed yet, right? You see, this is Pentacle energy, which is Earth energy, but you see the waves in the background of this card. I mean, it's not a very stable place for the Earth energy to be in. And so this is how this is showing how this Two of Pentacles is still finding their footing, and so for many of you, there's something that is still cooking, it's still happening. It still needs its time to kind of like ground into the 3D, but we might be giving up too soon, and we might be judging ourselves and judging our timeline. and making very impulsive decisions because of it. Okay, let's see what else Spirit wants us to know. Seven of Swords. And the Chariot. Okay. Hierophant underneath the deck. Okay. The Seven of Swords is somebody who is being quite sneaky, right? Versus the Hierophant is an energy of being in alignment with the higher realms. I mean, God, universe, spirit, source, however you want to call it. The Hierophant is the leader of that spiritual body, right? That spiritual organization. And the Hierophant has to hold himself in high conduct. He has to hold himself to a high degree of integrity in order to be able to provide that wisdom and be able to provide good advice to the masses, right? He has to hold himself in high regard in order to be held in high regard by the people. But in reverse, and with the Seven of Swords here, this is a big reminder from Spirit to you to not be tempted into doing anything that goes against your integrity. The Seven of Swords I'm hearing is there's an energy of shortcuts, trying to cut corners, trying to do things kind of like in a shoddy way, and not doing them to your best. Best isn't perfection, best is just to your highest level of commitment and devotion and what you can give. All right. And so there's a big temptation in the Seven of Swords here to try to like sneak around and do something in a shoddy way, if I could put it that way. But what really is available to you is the Chariot. The Chariot, and this card is in reverse, so there's something about, also the Chariot upright that is calling for you to go in that direction where he is able to go at that speed and with that level of success and achieve the kind of outcomes that he has as the Chariot because of that kind of leadership, foresight, and alignment that he is in. If any of these sphinxes that is leading the Chariot is going in a different direction, if one sphinx is pulling more weight than the other, this Chariot is going to collapse. If one sphinx is running faster than another sphinx, this Chariot is going to completely overturn. This is the thing here. This is calling for us to be very mindful of how we are balancing out our values, how we are putting equal weight into different interests and outcomes that we want to get, whether or not you're balancing different people's needs or interests, whether or not you need to balance maybe time or energy or resources, whatever it is that you might be balancing right now, the honesty is to be very mindful about keeping that balance really, really in integrity with yourself. You just need to be able to sleep at night. All right. And I think we don't need to keep hammering down on this message here. You guys know it, right? You guys know it. So let's just see what's something Spirit wants to close off, to say to you to close off this reading, okay? We have the Knight of Wands. Yep. And Eight of Wands. Okay. You know why this is amazing? Because I think some of you are thinking of taking a shortcut with the Seven of Swords because you don't have faith that something is going to happen for you. But the moment you restore that faith in yourself, the moment you restore that the belief, you're gonna find yourself riding and charging ahead like the Knight of Wands, and things will happen pretty quickly for you with Eight of Wands over here. The Knight and the Eight of Wands are not slow at all. You know, they're fast moving, and you're gonna realize that you can actually get to the place you want to be without compromising on your values and without compromising on speed as well. I mean, time is of the essence here, and you will be able to get there in a way where it's still in alignment to your integrity and your character, and doing things in an amazingly miraculous speed. All right. So, pile number 3, this was your reading and your honesty. Thank you for being here and listening to this reading. I hope it resonated with you, and I hope it also brought you the clarity that you were seeking. And I do look forward to reading for you guys in future as well. Okay, bye now.